A preliminary investigation into a mysterious pneumonia outbreak in China has been identified as a previously unknown coronavirus.
An apocalyptic soundtrack, but actually an impressive feat of construction. According to the People's Daily, this is the fourth day of the building of a 1,000-bed hospital in Wuhan, due to be completed by Sunday. This is the epicenter of this novel coronavirus. The numbers needing medical help in Hubei province are growing.
Beijing has confirmed the number of people who have died from a new type of respiratory virus in China has now passed 40. Almost 1,300 people are now infected with the coronavirus, and the authorities have put more cities under quarantine.
Unwelcome but expected, the coronavirus has hit the UK. It's inside this hospital in Newcastle, where two patients from the same family are now in isolation and being treated by specialist NHS staff.
Now to coronavirus outbreak, which the World Health Organization has now declared a global health emergency. A hospital has confirmed the first case of person-to-person transmission in the U.S.
After a brief respite, the number of new cases has risen again. At least 36,000 people are infected, including 3 more on the quarantined Diamond Princess cruise ship. Chinese authorities say 81 more people have died in China, bringing the death toll to at least 800.
We now have 3 laboratories in New Zealand that are able to test 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
The coronavirus outbreak now has 12 confirmed cases in the U.S. The latest is a man in Wisconsin. The list of cases aboard a cruise ship in Japan has climbed to 20, including several Americans. Remy Inocencio is in Hong Kong, where another cruise ship is under lockdown.
Hello again from Geneva, and apologies for the delay.
We've done great on the trade. It's going to have a tremendous impact. Now, the virus that we're talking about having to do, a lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat, as the heat comes in. Typically, that will go away in April. We're in great shape, though. We have 12 cases, 11 cases, and many of them are in good shape now.
There are warnings tonight the outbreak of COVID-19 could lead to a critical shortage of pharmaceuticals and medical supplies. The majority of those products are made in China, where factories have ground to a halt and production has all but stopped.
EU Chamber of Commerce warns of a potential global shortage of antibiotics. Drug makers in North America are bracing for production problems. The only confirmed supply issues are for medical equipment like masks and respirators.
In less than a week, life in the small town of Casal Pusterlengo has completely changed. The coronavirus outbreak in northern Italy's Lombardy region is what did it.
It's beautiful because you see kids playing in the streets the way it was many years ago during the days of our parents and grandparents. There was much more lightheartedness.
So we have a total of 15 people, and they're in a process of recovering, with some already having fully recovered.
The World Health Organization now says there are more new cases of the coronavirus outside China than inside that country. There are cases in every continent except Antarctica now. With attention shifting from Asia to Europe, countries there are struggling to come up with a unified response. And with so many unknowns, there's confusion about whether to travel and what to avoid. Right now, the biggest outbreaks are in Italy and Iran, and from there, the infection is spreading kind of like a web across the world. People who had been in Italy are now linked to cases in Algeria, Austria, Croatia, Germany, Greece, Spain, Switzerland, and Brazil. And people who had been in Iran are being linked to new cases in Bahrain, Iraq, Kuwait, and Oman. Canada has recorded a second case in someone who traveled from Iran, and it's the 12th confirmed case here. At least 46 countries and territories have detected the virus, and dozens of passengers who were let off the Diamond Princess cruise ship in Japan have now developed symptoms. From a major market meltdown to new travel bans.
This virus is not influenza.
One country takes swift action.
The risk of a global pandemic is very much upon us.
And the U.S. reports a new mysterious case.
Good evening, I'm Kelly Evans.
I'm Scott Wapner. This is the 63rd day of this massive global health crisis.
Yeah, we are here tonight because of the violent market reaction to the very real threat the coronavirus is about to impact this country in ways we have never seen before. The virus outbreak is prompting major business cancellations and interruptions. A key energy conference run by Cambridge Energy Associates in Houston, CERAWeek, has just been called off. Target is making its investor meeting remote only. Facebook canceling the F8 Developers Conference. San Francisco's major game developers conference in San Jose called off. News Corp and Amazon have all stopped non-essential travel. United Airlines postponing its investor day and new pilot training classes. And Workday has even called off a sales conference.
The new coronavirus is officially a pandemic, steadily spreading around the world. COVID-19 infections have now been confirmed in more than 100 countries and regions. In places like Italy and Iran, infection rates have been rising dramatically every day. But as the pandemic widens, China seems to be getting its own outbreak under control. New infections have dropped significantly, and for days, China has reported 0 new cases outside Hubei province, the epicenter of the outbreak.
Tonight, Washington stayed on edge after seeing the first U.S. death from the coronavirus. Now a nursing home, the center of concern over a potential coronavirus outbreak.
We are in uncharted territory.
The steps Canada is taking as the outbreak grows and the U.S. records new deaths.
The CDC tonight says Europe is the new epicenter of the epidemic, with 70% of new cases originating here. And countries are falling like dominoes, one shutting down after another. Ireland reporting its first coronavirus death, now closing schools. The Irish Prime Minister today with President Trump.
We need to do this for a couple of weeks to make sure the virus doesn't spread.
In Italy, the death toll rising over 1,000. Officials already banning most public gatherings and ordering a 3 feet separation in public.
And look, guys, I know we're all scared, but it's important to keep a clear head. Panic is not going to help anything. Right? We're still learning about this. We're still learning about the mortality rate. And panic is not helping because right now, some people are letting their panic make them dumb as shit.
The impact of the coronavirus being felt across the country, now affecting everything from air travel to schools to what's on store shelves or what's not on store shelves in some cases. Some retailers seeing a run on many of the basics.
Well, just a crazy scene at a grocery store where toilet paper has been in high demand.
Yeah, surveillance video shows a stampede of customers clearing the shelves.
Fights over toilet paper breaking out in grocery stores as shelves run empty.
It's clear that coronavirus, COVID-19, continues and will continue to spread across the world and our country over the next few months. We've done what can be done to contain this disease.
But the bottom line is the deaths in the last 24 hours have taken off significantly.
Yeah, there's basically been about a 30% increase. It's gone up it's gone up to 104 now.
Italy has now surpassed China in the number of COVID-19 related deaths. Each country has had more than 3,000 people die from the virus. Italy has been averaging more than 350 deaths per day since March 15th.
Worried customers have been snapping up everything in sight. Store shelves nationwide are dwindling or totally empty, like at this Target near Washington, D.C.
I can't believe what people are doing inside. Shelves are empty.
Hydroxychloroquine. So chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine. Now, this is a common malaria drug. It's also a drug used for strong arthritis. Somebody has pretty serious arthritis. Also uses this in a somewhat different form. But it is known as a malaria drug, and it's been around for a long time. And it's not going to kill anybody. And we're going to be able to make that drug available almost immediately.
NASA addresses the coronavirus pandemic. The protection and care of the NASA family is the top priority.
New York State's death toll from the novel coronavirus outbreak has surpassed 1,000 in just a few weeks since the first case was detected in the state. There are over 144,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the U.S., with New York State being the most affected state, especially in New York City.
So I want to bring you up to speed with something that's happening today, which is that I've developed mild symptoms of the coronavirus.
Goats are conquering empty streets in a British village. Soon as we withdraw, nature quickly takes over. Satellite images seem to prove just that. In Italy, where people have been living in lockdown for weeks, traffic has nearly stopped and nitrogen dioxide levels have clearly dropped. And another study suggests that Germany might even reach its climate goals as the corona lockdown causes the economy to produce much less CO2.
Cinghiali acchieti, ragazzi.
I knew a long time ago that 5G was dangerous, but I didn't understand the correlation with the coronavirus, which I now do, and I want to be able to explain that to you.
Oh boy, this is going to be good. Because believe it or not, this ain't some niche thing. 5G engineers have been threatened in the UK, and people have been trying to burn down 5G masts because of this. Guys like this are pushing out viral videos with over 500,000 hits, and the audiences love it. I'm going to save you a little time though. It won't work because 5G doesn't cause viruses, and viruses are not cells detoxifying themselves.
Homicide detectives will today be handed a brief of evidence which could see criminal charges laid over the Ruby Princess debacle. The cruise ship continues to languish off the New South Wales coast, with dozens of crews suspected to be infected with coronavirus. 11 passengers from the Ruby Princess have already died from COVID-19, with hundreds contracting the virus since the ship docked in Sydney last month.
Beaches across the county reopening Monday. Dozens of protesters in Encinitas rallied that Monday isn't soon enough.
Supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting. Right, and then I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning, because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me.
Calls to poison control hotlines have skyrocketed across the U.S. as more Americans have questions about using bleach and other disinfectants to keep COVID-19 away. Health officials in Illinois say the calls included people using detergent as sinus rinse and gargling with bleach and mouthwash in an attempt to kill the coronavirus.
Brother, can I add one thing to that? Liberty must prevail.
If we don't get to work, you don't get to work. Freedom is essential.
Our community is struggling. My husband is on unemployment for the first time in our life. And it's unwillingly that we're taking unemployment. We want to go back to work.
Time for our state to be opened up. We're tired of not being able to buy the things that we need, go to the hairdressers, get our hair done. It's time to open up.
Who's ready to stand defiant against this governor and open up business tomorrow? Lock her up! 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 Lock her up!
There are now 2.4 million cases of COVID-19 worldwide and more than 160,000 deaths.
In the Northern Territory, restrictions limiting attendees at outdoor weddings and funerals will be lifted from tomorrow. There'll be no limits on the numbers so long as people maintain social distancing. Playgrounds, parks and reserves will also reopen in the Territory.
Britain has surpassed Italy's coronavirus death toll with over 32,000 deaths, making the UK the country with the highest number of COVID-19 related deaths in Europe. Authorities in Brazil and Colombia are worried about the rapid increase of COVID-19 cases in the Amazon region. Israel's parliament has authorized a security company to continue using people's cell phone data to track COVID-19 cases. The service was previously authorized and has now been extended until May 26th. Concerns have been raised over privacy issues, but supporters of the program feel it's crucial to have this in place as the country lifts restrictions.
So starting Monday, you're going to see things like restaurants and cafes reopening, some schools reopening, stores basically then starting Monday, and then a week later we'll see restaurants and cafes.
Well, let me just start with getting your thoughts on states relaxing, some states relaxing their coronavirus restrictions at this time. Do you think that's smart, or what are the possible risks associated with doing that at this time?
Europe's biggest economy is undergoing Europe's biggest lockdown, though for not much longer, with many shops in Germany allowed to reopen next week.
But after protests and tweets from President Donald Trump, some states like Georgia, Oklahoma, and South Carolina have begun relaxing the rules, allowing small businesses like tattoo parlors and hair salons to reopen. Colorado, Tennessee, and Mississippi are following suit on Monday. New York, which is the hardest hit in America, is considering reviving its construction and manufacturing industries after May 15.
Early serological studies reflect that a relatively low percentage of the population has antibodies to COVID-19, which means most of the population is still susceptible to the virus.
As nations continue to take tentative steps back towards normality, there's an ongoing danger that threatens to stop that progress in its tracks. Scientists say it's not a question of if there will be a second wave of coronavirus, but a question of when. As restrictions loosen, the opportunities for the virus to spread start to increase once more. A series of new infections in South Korea serve to show how fragile the recovery can be.
Corona!